Hello, my friend. There's a saying. Hi. There's a saying. I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. When you realize this, you create the awareness that everything is within ourselves. Meaning, if you want people to perceive you some way, it has actually not to do with how they really see you, because that's up to their own filter, their own emotion, their own beliefs. It is purely depending on how you perceive yourself. So, what can you do, for example, to love yourself, perceive yourself in a certain way? Well, you create an awareness of what your core values are and what daily tasks and actions people implement and express that is congruent with who you want to be. And then you start on a daily basis to implement those tasks. There will be moments, days, where it's very challenging. And when you realize is that every day counts. So meaning, when you tell yourself that, oh, I'm going to do this, it is essential to follow through, because that's what gives you self-confidence. And when you do the right thing, when nobody is looking, that gives you confidence and also love, self-love. People think that they have to orient outside, and the opposite is true. In reality, we have to always look inside. When we work on ourselves and do the right thing, we don't have to worry about anybody else's opinion anymore. That doesn't mean that you're not compassionate, that you're not caring. It's nothing to do with that. That's pretty based on your core values. It just means that you can detach from what other people say about you and what you perceive other people to say about you. In reality, the work always has to be within ourselves, and then we realize that we can actually end suffering. Entitlement and victimhood are derivatives of our ego. And, oh, that's a big grasshopper. And when we realize that entitlement and victimhood will always lead to suffering, then we can easier let go of our ego. So, if you want to let go of suffering, and I'm not saying that you should not acknowledge your emotions, suppressing them, or trying to avoid to feel them doesn't work. So you have to let them come up and build the threshold of sitting with uncomfortable emotions. You learn to sit with them, you learn to name them, and then you get the opportunity to process them. So it means that whenever we feel treated in a wrong way, she should be doing this, or shouldn't be doing this, or this is not fair. That's our ego, it's victimhood. And you have the right to hold on to your ego, and you just have to know that it comes at a cost of suffering. Or you realize that you can reframe everything from within. Meaning, if somebody says something negative about you, or which is obviously also depending on your own filter, and if somebody says something about you, you realize it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their own perception, their own beliefs, and very often they're projecting their own feelings onto you. So when you disconnect from other people's reactions, and again, it doesn't mean that you don't care. You do care, actually, but you don't let other people's opinion affect the way you react. So when you tell yourself, okay, the way the person is talking, communicating with me is disrespectful, then that's your ego. And you will feel the emotion of not being respected. Now, that is a residual out of your past, usually in childhood, where you might have not been heard, and your emotions have not been validated. And when you hold on to that, your suffering will continue. When you realize that you are creating your own emotions, and whatever other people do and think about themselves and about you has nothing to do with you, then you get the opportunity to let go of suffering. So when you say, oh, people have to respect you, it has nothing to do with other people. It has to do with yourself. So if you respect yourself, then you're not seeking the respect of others. If you seek the respect of others, you're giving your emotional state away to somebody else. Somebody else can affect your emotional state because it's not in your control if somebody respects you or not. What is in your control is the way you react to somebody that expresses disrespect. And you probably will also realize that the way they react or disrespect you has to do with themselves. So you have two options again. You hold on to respect, entitlement, victimhood, and you will suffer. Or you let go of it, realize that the way you feel is solely a result on how you communicate to yourself. Then you maintain the power to be balanced and happy, no matter what happens around you. Katie Byron actually explains it very simple. She talks about me business, him, her business, and then his business. So his business would be aspects that God, the universe, are just there, like we cannot influence, right? So if there is a war or the economy, it's out of our business. If we are focusing on it, then we're giving our power away. Him, her business is people that, are around us. And again, with the example of respect, if somebody doesn't respect you, and that also depends on your own perception, what you think respect looks like. But generally speaking, if, let's say, somebody does something that is out of the norm, then you're giving your power away. Whatever other people do or don't do It's up to them. And when we hold on to that, suffering begins. You start to manipulate people, and you bend reality, and suffering will get even worse. Now, can you motivate people? Can you encourage people? Can you give people the tools to improve their life, for example? Absolutely, and I think you should. But if they use the tool, if they go the direction that you perceive to be right for them or be helping them, that is absolutely up to them. When you attach to the outcome, that's where suffering starts. And then there's me business, and that's 100% where I have impact. I can decide what I do or don't do, and I have the power to adjust my beliefs and my actions, and I can reframe, so I can decide how a situation has an effect on me, or how I want a situation to have an effect on me. So that's where reframing comes in. And also the way my filters are, the way my beliefs are, is essential, the way we talk to ourselves. But it is in our control. It's a misconception for most people that beliefs are truth. No, that's just your own perspective, and it's created in your past. And every perspective comes with pros and cons. And when you realize that, then you also become very diligent with your beliefs. And what I do is I adjust my beliefs in a way that it contributes in my life. Sounds opportunistic, but in reality it's not. It's just that you eliminate suffering. And it also doesn't mean that you affect other people in a negative way. It's just the way you perceive certain situations and what you do. And so that's really the essence, to focus on me business. What do I have control of? And even if a situation is really horrific, we always have the ability to learn to grow from something and to reframe it in a way that it eliminates the suffering, or at least reduces it. There's a great book, Man's Search for Meaning, from Franklin is his last name, I forgot his first name, a gentleman that was in the concentration camps during the Second World War, and he realized that no matter what happened outside around him, one thing that the guards or the people that even did horrific things could not take away from him is the way he perceived, the way he thought, and the way he reframed a situation. So he could sit within an horrific situation, but still be content. And I've been working on this quite a bit. And there are now and then situations where I still feel emotion in that kind of sense. But I catch myself quickly and reframe the situation in a very effective way. So, and by doing that, I'm not taking away what actually happens. Those are facts. I'm just reframing it for myself, so I don't have to suffer, or I don't have to go through extra pain. And one more thing, If something terrible happens, if you feel a certain way, the emotion is real. Just feel the emotion and write it down, and then realize that when you write down a better reframing, it's up to you how you can perceive from there. So if you're seeing a situation from a victimhood, you give somebody else the power over your emotions. When we have negative thoughts, then our energy will drop. If we have positive, we reframe properly, we have positive, empowering thoughts, our energy will go up. It is really fascinating how once we understand how to use our prefrontal cortex properly, we are really in control of our emotions, and we don't have to give it away to outside circumstances or the way other people perceive us. So for me, for a former codependent person, it led me into very unhealthy relationships. I can now disconnect, and I'm in charge of my own emotions and don't have to manage somebody else's emotion, because that's ultimately every person is responsible for their own emotions. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.